This video we will talk about the first entity technique, that is visual testing. So now what is visual testing? It is common, you can see that from name itself, the name visual itself saying everything about this testing. The primary method, this is the primary method of non-destructive testings. A simple visual test reveals gross surface defect, whatever surface defect you can see sometimes by visual by your naked eyes also. Physical principles. What is the principle? Illumination of the test specimen with light. We illuminate the test specimen by using light. So we are using light here to know about the characteristics of that particular specimen. The next thing is about visual testing is that equipments used are very simple and portable. The equipments you use in visual testings are rarely simple and portable. You can use it again and again. Most valuable entity tools. What is the most valuable entity tool? That is human eye. Our eyes is a most valuable tool because from our eyes we can see everything, mainly performed to obtain the general conditions of component. We generally use it for knowing the general conditions of the component. What is the condition of that component? Like these are some instruments like magnification glass, and these things are these instruments are using nowadays for visual testing. One other common definition we can say that visual testing is the most basic and common inspection method involves in using of human eye to look for defect. We use human eyes to look for defect, but now it is done by the use of special tools. Now what happening, sometimes we are unable to look the defects by our human eyes, so what we do, we use videoscopes, magnifying glasses, mirror or baroscopes to gain access and more closely inspect the subject area. Like this, it is a microscope. The other thing we can say, the human eye is one of the mankind's most fascinating tools. It is the most fascinating tool. The second thing is that it has a greater precision and accuracy than many of the most sophisticated cameras. There are lots of sophisticated cameras are there, but we can say that it has a great precision and accuracy in our human eye as compared to some cameras. It has unique focusing capabilities and has the ability to work in conjunction with the human brain. So what human eye different from other tools is that human eye can see the things, we can see the things, and we can use our brain also, so that it can be trained to find specific details or characteristics in a part or test piece. We can find specific details about some parts by using visual testings. It has the ability to differentiate and distinguish between colors and hues as well. So these are the common definitions of visual testing. Now look at the applications of visual inspection. So there are lots of areas where you use visual inspection, like inspection of plant components for leakage. In power plants or whatever the plant, there are lots of pipelines are there. So what happened, there may be leakage due to the high pressure, volume, temperature, whatever it caused that be, but we can inspect the plant components if something leakage is here. Misalignment in equipment parts, if there is something misaligned in equipment parts, again we can see this. Corrosion, erosion, crack, fracture, we can see by naked eyes, or we can using magnifying glasses to see the in detail. Minute discontinuities or on parts like pumps, compressors can be seen. It is used to inspect whether there is a misalignment of parts in the equipment. If there is something misalignment in parts, we can see. It checks for corrosion, erosion, cracks and deformation. It inspects the plant components for any leakage or abnormal operation. It is used to identify the defect in weldments. So there are tons of applications are available in industry, and it is widely used in industry although. So let's talk about how many types of visual inspections are there and what is in under it. So the first one is that unaided visual inspection, and the second one is that aided visual inspection. Let's talk about unaided visual inspection. It is again clear from the name that we are not using any other source to seeing an object. We are not using magnifying glasses here, so it is also known as direct visual inspection. It can be accomplished with the help of naked eyes. We can see the object by our naked eyes, that is unaided visual inspection. It can done without the help of optical aids. Defects can be detected are absence of cracks, corrosion layers, surface porosity, misalignment of parts. We can see by naked eyes. We are not using any instrument here for inspection. So that is called unaided visual inspection. Now talk about aided visual inspection. What is this? So it is also known as indirect visual inspection. It is performed using optical instruments. This will identify the defects which cannot detect with human eye. The defect we cannot see by human eyes, we are using aided visual inspection for seeing that. It permits visibility to areas are not accessible to human eyes. There are some areas where we cannot see, but when we use these aided visual instruments, we can see those particular area also. So what are the tools used in visual inspection? Let's talk about it. So the first is mirrors. We use mirrors to magnify the images. We use magnifying glasses. We use microscopes. We use borescopes, endoscope, flexible fibers, closed circuit television systems, computer enhanced systems. These are the tools we used. Let's talk about each and everything in details. So if we talk about magnifying mirrors, so it is also known as concave spherical mirrors. These are the mirrors which what do they magnify the image. It is used to magnify the areas which are not accessible to human eyes. The areas which cannot see by naked human eyes, we use magnifying mirrors for magnifying them. And let's see this like this. You can see here, this is the magnifying mirrors using to detect the impurities or whether is there any impurity or not. If we talk about magnifying glass, it is also called as hand lenses. This lens is used to produce a magnified image. Magnification depends upon the position where it is being placed between the human eye and the object. For higher power magnification, double or multiple lenses are used. So sometimes we use magnifying glass or powerful glasses to see the things in detail. Sometimes we use microscope. Again, microscope is used to magnify the image of a small object. We can magnify the image of very small object in very detail by microscope. The microscope magnification power is 10:f. You can see here microscope. If you are engineering background, you must have seen or you must have read about microscope, how these are working. There are lots of microscopes are there, like optical microscope, electron microscope, transmission microscope. So you can see the working of that. But microscope also used for visual testing. Again, borescope, which is used to inspect the inside of a narrow tube. Suppose there is a very narrow tube and we want to know about the tube, what inside this. So you use borescope to see the things. It is flexible tube with an eyepiece at one end and objective lens at other end. There is one eyepiece at one end from we can see, and the other end there is a lens. So we place the lens in a narrow tube and we see by our eyes that what inside the tube. Light is passed through the lenses, and to obtain a clear image, we pass a light in these lenses and we get clear images of an object. Available range is 2.5 mm to 19 mm. We can see how narrow. 2.5 mm is very narrow diameter. So you can see here borescope how it is work. So if we talk about endoscope, it is a bit superior than borescope. Magnification factor of 10x is obtained. 10x means you can magnify an image by 10 times in the endoscopy, which is not the case in borescope. Available up to smaller diameter of 1.7 mm and length up to 100 to 150 mm. So we use endoscope also. Fibroscopes also used, also called fiber optic borescope. A range of about 3 to 12.5 mm. Length varies between 60 to 365 centimeters. So you can see here how fibroscope works. We use CCTV also. sometimes we use computer enhanced visual system. You can see here camera, from light is going on, optical image will optimize that light, digitalize, it will go digitalized, then processed, analysis and control system, recognition system, that how it is looking. So these are the instruments we use in visual testing. I hope you are getting idea about visual testings. Here in description box I have also given some notes, and I have added one quiz also. You can go through the quiz and see that how much you have understand about these techniques. In next lecture we will talk about advantages and disadvantages of visual testing.